Welcome once again, episode 8 of the Sesh, presented by Cornfed Coaching FC. Speed of thought and first touch, two of the most important things players need to work on to improve and reach new heights. We all have different ways to help players develop these abilities. And here to join us on a Thursday morning is current 11 through 14 U age group director for Tonka United Soccer Association in Minnesota. Former pro player, coach, TV analyst, coach educator, author, Wayne Harrison. Wayne, it's good to have you on the Sesh today.
Yeah, thanks for the invite. Nice to be here. I didn't realize I'd done all that.
Is there anything else that I've missed?
Probably don't want to say it on here.
All right, let's not. Somewhat a family show. Well, I'm excited to have you on. We'll dive into kind of some of your activities and sessions here in a bit.
Okay.
Help us out, our panel members. Once again, great to have Iowa Soccer's Director of Player Development and Instagram star Ross Moffett with us. Sue Barr, DOC.
Did you say Moffat?
What's that?
Did you say Moffat?
Moffat.
Yeah. M-O-F-F-A-T?
That's correct, yeah.
That's my family name. On my mother's side, Moffat.
This is the first time we've had a relation on the show.
There you go. See, we're related through drink.
This is what the Sesh does. It brings people together.
Yeah, my other side of my family's Moffat. Yeah.
Moffat. Wow. Maybe you guys are related to our other panelist, Sue Barr, who's with us again, the DOC programming with Penn Fusion Soccer Academy. And for those of you wondering, Adrian and Ian have the day off. So this is what you have today. So yeah, Wayne, talk to us a bit about the first time you and Ross met. That was great.
I think it was probably about 15 generations ago.
Ross just sitting. Ross, I like the way you're like in a very professional environment right now with the ceiling tiles and everything.
Yeah, brought it into the office today for keep it professional.
I love it. It's great. So Wayne, talk to us a bit about what you're doing nowadays. Whether it be, really whatever you want to talk about. Maybe you're writing a new book, or you want to talk about some your soccer awareness stuff, or whatever you got going
on. Living in Minnesota, back in Minnesota, where our family and grandkids are, and it's a place we love, and I'll be retiring here eventually. I did a really good club called Tonka United, working there, and just enjoying life at my age. And still trying to make a difference, still enjoying it. And I'm not writing any books at the moment, no. I guess I've moved across to ebooks because on the other books the publisher gets all the money, so it's nice to make a little bit of money. We make enough to have a few bottles of wine, so it's good. And but I'm always putting together new ideas for ebooks, and I'll have some out probably maybe next year, once we've got over this crazy period.
Oh, I know. What has a COVID-19 landscape look like for you guys in Minnesota?
Well, we're fairly ahead of the game. I think everything's open, everything's working, we're playing. We're even traveling in the Midwest with our team. So yeah, it's been not as bad as other places. Clearly, yeah.
Good. And then, so you've been kind of controversial a little bit, I think, on Twitter lately. I've seen you getting into it with some people about your one-touch mentality, soccer awareness training. What is that all about? How do they come from, and what are you trying to get out of that?
All right, so it all started when I played back in the day. I played professionally and at a lower level, though. It wasn't at the top level or anything, and I realized that I didn't see the game quickly enough. I think technically, skill-wise, I was good, but I didn't see the game, and I didn't think quickly enough. And then, just to digress, Alan Ball, a World Cup winner from 1966, it was my all-time hero player, came to Blackpool to be player manager, player coach. So I'm playing alongside Alan Ball, the World Cup winner from 1966. By then, he was about 37, 38. He was slow as a cart horse, and he thought like 3 moves ahead of all of us. I mean, he would see things, and you'd go, and we just couldn't see it. you know, because he's thinking 3 moves ahead all the time. It was amazing to play alongside this fella. And I realized that, you know, that was something I lacked. So I always wanted to teach it. And consequently, it's always been a focus on my training. I'm really good at it now, you know. I can go out and, you know, I can see everything, and I'm looking around all the time, and I don't get caught in possession by my teammates. I can't run, but at least, you know, I show them the concept, because my head's always turning, and I just didn't do it when I played, sadly. But I do get satisfaction when I can affect kids to get them to do it. Now, some kids are just natural, as you know. They can do it. It's a piece of cake for them. But, you know, 95% aren't naturally gifted at this. So I think it's a really important part of the game. I've been doing this for, Jesus, well, 25 years, and it seems to be getting popular now. It's the scanning thing, doesn't it? You know, everyone's talking about scanning now. Well, hello. 25 years ago, I was talking about it, and I was trying to put the idea, mainly because I couldn't do it very well.
Oh, I'm really good at scanning when I play with 10-year-olds. I'm amazing.
Well, you know, as each year goes by, I play with the younger ones, so I can get away with it, you know. But yeah, but it's really so vital. It's so vital, and I love the fact that they highlight it so much now, because it's massive. It's a massive thing in the game. You watched Thiago the other day for Liverpool. You know, it was amazing. He never gave the ball away, and his head's always spinning. I call it rubberneck. I tell the kids, you've got a rubberneck, because they remember that. You see, it sticks in their mind. You've got a rubberneck. So I'll just shout rubberneck, and then they start, you know, looking around and all that.
Oh, great. So you spent 20 years trying to get this, you know, maybe through to the soccer world. When do you feel like it really started to gain some traction just within the coaching world? Some of the methodologies, let's say, that you're trying to bring to the table.
Well, I think it's taken time, but I mean, I've always been aware of it, so I've always seen it. So I don't know when there's a point where everybody else gets it. I don't know. Maybe 5 years. Maybe the game, because the game's so fast now that and players have much less time on the ball, less space, fewer touches, so they have to see the game a lot faster. So it becomes more of a thinking game than an actual, you know, on the ground sort of game, so to speak. So I think that's where it's coming now, where they have to scan the field because it's so fast. They get closed down so quickly. And I think that's part of the development of the game, and the speed of the game is brought it into fashion, so to speak.
Do you think that some of it might be culturally too? Like when you go coach in other places, is maybe speed of play, speed of thought, playing one touch, maybe not something that people want to do? Or they maybe relying more on being creative and individual skills and whatnot?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I get accused of many things. I get accused of not liking dribblers. I freaking love dribblers. I love kids taking them on in the attacking third. I just want them to dribble in the right place. So when you come back to the thing, and again, everyone thinks he only likes one-touch players. No, that's not true. The difference is I do a lot of one-touch in training, because if you've got one touch and everyone knows you've only got one touch, then certainly yourself, as the ball comes to you, how many times do you see the kid stop the ball at the feet? Well, now they've lost it now because they've only got one touch. So they have to start to look around to see what's going on around them, you know, where the space is, where the players are, where the teammates are, where the opposition is, etc., etc. So they have to scan the field. So setting a condition of one touch forces them to look away from the ball. So the big concept really is looking away from the ball, because kids focus on the ball. The ball's coming to me, I'm focused on the ball. I get the ball, what am I going to do? Oh, it's too late. So I say, as the ball's moving, you're always scanning. I mean, it's not rocket science, you know that. It's the simplest thing in the world. I'm not trying to be clever or anything. It's simple. It's the simplest thing in the world to learn, but the hardest, well, let me get this the right way around. It's the simplest to teach, but the hardest to learn when the pressure's on. Because all I'm asking is a kid to look to the right, to the left, look behind. That's all I'm asking. That's easy. But when the pressure's on, they don't want to look away from the game and the ball. And that's when they've got to develop this calmness on the ball, I think. And again, that's another. I mean, I've got one kid on my team, and he's just got it. He's got this natural calmness, and he very rarely gets caught in possession. And he can play one touch, he can play two touch, he can dribble. He's got all those attributes, but most kids don't. So we have to try and help them to get those attributes to become better players.
So, Ross, Sue, what do you guys do within, your training session to kind of work on that stuff? Because I know we all have some like clever little and sometimes even gimmicky type things that we do. Sometimes I'll raise cones for kids to
right, yeah.
and do stuff. But are you guys big on this type of thing? Do you like restrictions within your activities or?
Yeah, I mean, when you touched on so many things, I think the most coaches know to say, check your shoulders. I mean, I don't think I mean, everybody knows that, but that's not really enough, right? In order to move the ball. So really so much of it is about the support of the one touch play, which I'm sure is kind of where we're going to go with that. So I think that is, it's really not enough to just say, to scan your shoulders. We have to be able to know how to move the ball. And I think we're definitely moving more towards, not playing in isolation, but really playing with constant, defensive pressure. And to Wayne's point, everybody's excited about the way that, Liverpool is defending. And so now we're teaching so much of the pressing and the counter pressing. Well, are we helping our players to problem solve the pressing and the counter pressing? So I think it's this constant, keeping up with the speed of the game.
Absolutely. And I think, sorry, go on.
Oh, that's fine. What about you, Coach Ross, player developer?
As you probably know, Damien, from being in the ODP program with me, this is an area I'm passionate about. So I remember even a long time ago, in my first few experiences as a coach, coming across some of Wayne's work. And just being excited by that back then. And it is ironic that only now in the last maybe couple of years, it's actually becoming, it's gaining much more traction. So, I was laughing when he said about the example of Alan Ball. I remember my first experience like that as a guy called Ian Durant, who played in Scotland.
Yeah.
And for Rangers. But yeah, fantastic player. And by the time we played together, I was 17. He was, 37 or whatever. He literally had no knees, could hardly move.
Yeah.
And you just couldn't get near him.
Exactly.
I was like, wow, there's levels to this game. And it was just because he could just see everything that I couldn't. He already had C4 options by the time I'll press him and close him.
He's
gone. That's when I realized, wow, I've got a long way to go in this game. So the trickier thing is, how do you take that idea and teach it to children? But obviously Wayne's made some great inroads in that area as well. So no, I'm excited that we're talking about this topic. I think it's so important. I really do.
Yeah,
I love it. I love it. I think it's a great theme to work on, and I think it's just going to get, and the game's going to get faster. We know that the players are going to get fitter.
Right.
There's going to be less time, less space, more pressure. So it's going to become even more important. Alan Ball used to say, because he had that. Do you remember he had that high voice, Ross?
Yeah.
You only need half a touch. And then that became a joke, because I'd get an article written on half a touch, and people would think I meant it. I went, no, it's a joke. But he saw it so quickly. He said he only needed half a touch. You know what I mean? So, and it's a fact. I mean, literally, if there was half a touch, that's what. And your guy Ian Durant would be the same. They just saw the game so quick. It was frightening. It was brilliant to see. And play alongside and be shown up. When you're jumping out your skin, and this guy at 37 who can't run anymore, and he's making you look like an idiot because you just can't keep up with him mentally. Physically, yes. Mentally, no. Yeah. Not a chance.
Yeah, amazing. I like what you said about the dribbling piece. Obviously, that's that could be a sort of a point that people try to counter the idea with. But I think you've distinguished the difference between one-touch play and a one-touch mentality.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily the same thing, is it? So you want to unpack that a little bit?
Yeah, well, again, as I said to you, I do a lot of work with one-touch playing just to get them to scan, just to get the habit of scanning, because they have to scan, otherwise they're not going to keep possession. And I do the one we all use, the 3-team game, so there's twice as many players in possession as not. So it gives them a bit of a chance to keep possession of the ball, So, and then if obviously if you win it, then you got 2 touches, then it changes and blah, blah, blah. So I find setting conditions is a really good way of teaching it. Now, that said, obviously, I mean, I love dribblers in the attacking third. So I'm working with another kid on my team who's a very talented lad, fantastic individual player. And we started playing one touch and he was playing holy hell with me. And he didn't like it, you know, because he takes people on for fun. And I'm saying, look, if you learn this, you are going to become such a better player, because by learning to play with the one-touch mentality, you're starting to scan more. Now you're going to make better decisions on when and where and why to dribble.
Right.
Because, he dribbles sometimes in the wrong areas. That's okay. He's 13, for God's sake, you know. But, I mean, this is teaching him to recognize the right moment. When to dribble, when to pass, when to run with the ball, when to shoot, when to cross, when to play one touch, when to play 2 touch. So that's the point behind it all. It's all in the mind, and it's making that decision in your mind before you receive the ball, and it might be a dribble. So that's my answer to all the people who say, "Oh, I only want to play one touch."
Yeah, I think that's interesting. I really do, because you also see like the opposite of that, where players train technical skills, if you want to call them that, in isolation, step over, whatever, and then move into a game situation and they can't get the when, where, why correct, or the timing correct. It happens all the time. And it almost, lends to the idea of maybe those things need to be taught more holistically, perceiving the situation and executing the skill. It's all part of the same puzzle, if you will.
Yeah, well, I think historically as well, we need to teach them techniques, don't we? We need to teach them to dribble and turn and the actual technique itself. So we do it in isolation with no pressure, just to get them to learn them. But then you've got to get to the next stage now, is to add the decision making to it, haven't you?
Yeah.
And the context of where you are on the field. So I think that's what I'm bringing in. I mean, I'm not teaching techniques or anything. I'm hoping by the time they get to me, they're technically good enough. If they're not technically good enough, they can't do this stuff. Yeah. Ross, there's Damien, if we went to the continuous development that I put together, I think that will explain it. Maybe people understand the thought process better. Thought processes.
Which
can you find that? It's at the start of page 114.
Right. I'll share the screen.
Yeah, on the 3-zone thing.
Yeah, and Stu had a question, but while we're doing that, let's fulfill the episode number 8. So everyone, real quick, number 8 uniform. Most impactful, influential, or favorite player to ever wear that uniform. Number 8.
You asking me?
I'm asking everybody. Yeah, whoever it is.
I'll lead the way, because I do have one. Second Rangers player of the day, but a former Rangers player. I need to go with Paul Gascoigne. Signed for Rangers just when I was about, at that age where I just was I'm kind of obsessed with soccer and football, but when you're that little kid, crazy way, and he came up to Scotland and just absolutely ran the show. But a bit of a maverick on the ball, could do everything. 1 touch, 2 touch, whatever the game needed, he would find a way. So he really influenced my love of the game, and so he's got to be my number 8 for sure.
Go on, Susan. I'm still thinking.
Well, I do like to go to those the female players. So Julie Ertz wears the 8, and she is. I think we think of her a lot of her defensive abilities, but her ability, I think it pertains to what we're talking about today, which we're talking about soccer is the brain. So her ability to read the game and to intercept passes, and to the way that she tackles and the way that she starts the attack, just that. Even if she's not playing the box-to-box midfielder, we see her in the final third, finishing because she reads the game so well.
Well, I'm going with the top end here, but would you not say Xavi and Iniesta, maybe like a combination? I always use Xavi as I always use him as my go-to guy, apart from Alan Ball, of course. because he was the original, in my opinion, the guy who was the best scanner in the best. It was for God's sake, he was man of the match in the World Cup at 21. At 15, Coventry kicked him out, Ross, because he was too small. Then he's winning the World Cup at 21 and man of the match. I mean, crazy. Anyway, I'm digressing again.
Yeah.
Xavi's the closest to Alan Ball, but Alan Ball was more aggressive and scored more goals. But Xavi's the closest, so I think 6 to 8 kind of thing. I suppose Busquets is the 6, isn't he? So Xavi must be the 8. And Iniesta's, you know, he's everywhere, or he was. So that would be mine. Yeah.
I had current Napoli boss Gattuso, and I did have Julie Ernst, to be fair. So I did too. But yeah, I mean, Gattuso was always a guy for me growing up. And now he's in charge of Napoli and bringing a nice guy to play there. And so bringing us back to a little bit closer to the Maurizio Sarri days of just 2 years ago, but feels like forever ago. So,
yeah.
You know, I'm just thinking Lampard.
Lampard, yeah. Do you remember that 17-second video, Susan, when he's turned the field about 28 times? And
so great, yeah.
Isn't it amazing that? Yeah. I mean, that's fantastic. That's one of the best examples of all time, really.
Right. We should all share that. We should share that.
Actually, I sent that one to Damien, actually.
Yeah, I've got it. Yeah, shared it.
Yeah. But coming back to Xavi.
Do you have it? Are you seeing my screen?
Yeah.
I am, yeah.
Okay. So is this, Wayne, what you wanted to see?
It's the other 3-zone game that we're looking at, not this one yet. That's what's related to the continuum, the other one. The dropping off into zone 14 one, that's the one that we need to look at. So would that be, so I sent you in the wrong direction, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. This one?
Oh, that's it, there you go. Yeah. So this is going to explain my thinking behind the process. But digressing again, so Xavi, they counted how many times you looked away from the ball in a game. So I asked the kids, you know that? And they'll go, 15. You know, how many times did Xavi look away from the ball in a game in 90 minutes? 15. And then some will say, 50. And then some get excited and say 300. He did it 804 times. He looked away from the ball in 90 minutes. And now they're saying some players are doing it like, you know, almost once every 3 or 4 seconds. They're really top quality players, you know. And even when they don't get it anyway, they already knew if they did get it, I've got these options. So you know, I think I always use that as an example of. And then I asked parents. I said, look, count the number of times in 15 minutes your son on my team, because I've got a boys team, looks away from the ball. And then the next game, pick 15 minutes again, and look how many times he look away from the ball. Now they could argue, well, you know, he didn't play very well. So you know, I'm looking at when he's on the ball, and I'm saying, well, no, look at him off the ball, and as it's coming or as it's about to come, maybe further down the line. So I'm still trying to get parents to do that because, you know, it's the nearest and dearest, and I'm trying to convince them that this will make a big difference to their children. So I try that approach as well. But the other thing is, before I go to this, sorry, my head's all over the place here. I'm excited. I'm loving this. The other thing is, you know, my initial focus was on the player who's receiving, but what about the players off the ball? So what I started to do was I tied together a one-touch mentality with movement off the ball. So then because I think those are the two areas that players lack or are not taught as well as they could. First of all, the scanning, the decision making, but then the movement off the ball. Because certainly my players are still learning to get in big areas, you know, and get bigger as a team. And so when the ball's coming to me, for example, they all know Wayne's only got one touch, in theory. I'd better get in a position to help him. So then we start to work on, put cones down and we position between cones and use them as defenders and build it up from there. And it's non-competitive, so to speak. But I think the movement off the ball thing is really massive. And so I've connected them. So I'll come back to this now. So I used to think when I'm training kids, this is like, how long have I been doing this? 20 years, whatever. What's gone through the head before the ball's coming? What's gone through the head as the ball arrives? What's gone through the head as they use the technique, or whichever one they've decided they're going to use, what's going through their head now when the ball's gone? What are they going to do? You know, and then the other thing I'll say is, well, 85 minutes out of 90, you don't have the ball. So what are you going to do with your movement off the ball? I think the scanning helps that, because it helps them make decisions based on where the ball is. And again, you know, based on the space, the time, opponents, teammates, and the ball itself. So on this one, the first thing is look, observe, think. I should have put scan in there, but this is an old one. But so it's you're always anticipating the game. You're not reacting. Kids react. I think most kids react. They don't anticipate what's going to happen next or what could happen next. So, and as I've said there, if you have time, the ball's coming and it's moving. If you have time, like Lampard, Susan, on that video, in 17 seconds, try and scan 2 or 3 times, because by the time the ball's gone from whoever's passing it to you, your picture has changed around you anyway. So you should maybe scan a second time because it's changed. You know, and the really good ones can do that. Now, but you're starting at, can they scan once as it's coming? That's great. But then you want, obviously, to increase it, because as I say, the picture around changes. So then you go into the skill. I call this skill factor. And, you know, you've got technical, tactical, physical, psychological, and everybody uses those 4 areas. I think there's 5 areas. I think the skill factor is the 5th area, because decision-making should be in a concept of its own, because it's so important, but it gets lost in all the other 4. Correct. So whenever I present, I say we've got 5, but nobody freaking agrees with me. Nobody does it, but I really believe it. It's the most important part of the game, the skill factor, and that's the you know, the why, when, and where of technique, and plus it's success or not. So, but I used to have the skill when I first started. I had the skill down at like number 6. And I'm looking at that and going, but they're making the decision way too late there. The decision actually comes a lot earlier before the body positioning, etc. So I'll put it in at number 2, because it should come immediately after you've scanned, shouldn't it? That's the decision. Whether you get the ball or not, you've made a decision. And then how many kids do you see the ball comes to their feet are like, you know, they're like stuck to the ground. So I talk about good preparation. They've got to be on their toes. And they still haven't got the ball. So they're thinking, I've got to get on my toes. And you hope subconsciously, eventually, they take it on board. Now, the next one is body position. How many times they receive it and they've got a closed body stance? You know, so the ball's coming to me and I'm saying, open your body up. You know, everyone uses that term, but a lot of them don't. So they're not able to change the direction of play. They have to take an extra 2 or 3 touches maybe to change it. And by then they might get closed down and pressured. Now, then communication. Well, I always say to them, don't rely on anyone communicating to you. Man on turn time, kids don't. You've got to rely on your own communication with yourself by looking and by scanning. If you get a shout, that's brilliant, but don't expect it. You know, and then control will be the first. If it's not a one-touch pass, then it's what do you do with your first touch? Where do you take it? Where do you take your first touch? Well, it's based on scanning. I already know where I'm going to take it, because I'm going to go and pass it to Johnny over there. But I'm going to need a touch to get out of trouble to get it to Johnny. So that's the control part. Now you come to the technique, which is, I'm hoping everyone's already good at it before they come to my stuff, and that's the how. And then it comes to the question we talked about was, do I only like one touch? Well, the technique could be anything based on that moment, because they've already assessed and analysed the situation by scanning the field. So, you know, now I've thrown another one in there since then. In fact, I've thrown another 2 in. It's getting longer, this list. It's crazy. But one thing that really comes from it is, and I've noticed in my new boys team, they tend to, the ball's coming to them and they tend to have a closed body stance, right? So they'll go back, you know, particularly if it's one touch. They'll go back. So they don't see, they've not got a 360-degree view. They've got like a, you know, 45-degree, whatever it is. It's a closed view. It's like a horse with the blinkers on, you know. I can't see around me. Now, what's bloody great, I love it. They're now starting to open the body up, and now they're starting to let the ball run across the body, and they're changing the direction of play without touching the ball. So that, to me, is a big indication that they're learning how to scan and how to change the play and the direction of play. So I've thrown, after technique, I've thrown one touch, the no-touch turn in, because that's a real indicator that these kids are starting to get this idea, you know. And then the other thing is, they do the no-touch turn. Well, if they run into a player they didn't scan, But generally speaking, they're finding that space because they've already looked. So that's a real good indicator as well. That's something else. And then I've put in tempo because everything's 100 mile an hour. We played a game the other night and we was like 100 mile an hour. And I'm saying we've got to teach them how to change the tempo. And even at one touch, you can slow the game down just by your spacing. You know, the ball's coming to me, I'll play it to Jimmy. Jimmy's getting it. Frank's made a run. I'll play it to Frank. So you can actually slow the game down, slow the tempo, even just playing one touch. People don't believe that, but it's true. I mean, I see it in training. So that's another part of the game. I'm trying to teach them is slow the tempo down. Even with one touch, you can slow the tempo down. So I brought that in as well. And then tactical mobility is the 90% of the game, the moving off the ball part that, you know, I look at them and I go, right, he's played one touch, he's been successful. Or we've gone free and he's done whatever he needed to do at that moment. He's dribbled, he's passed, he's run with it. But what's the next part? What's he going to do next? And I'm looking at them off the ball going, where's he going to go now? Because he's kept possession. He's played to his teammate, but his teammate needs help now. Where's he going to go? So I think that's H there, which is now lower down. That's massive because, you know, players don't anticipate movements off the ball. Sometimes they react. They go, oh, I'll go there. Oh, too late. We've lost it. Or I could have opened up earlier for him. He could have played me quicker, etc. You know, so I think that's really important. And then the mental and physical transition. This is the big one. I've been working on this a lot as well. What am I calling it at the moment? Oh, I've got some stupid word for it. Anyway, it's a stupid word, but what it basically is, we win possession. Transition moment. That's it. Transition moment. Transition moment. We win possession, but then we give it away. So the transition moment is they've got it, we win it. So I'm saying to them, you've got to protect the ball. It's a transition moment. You've got to, so pick an easy option. Don't try I say, oh, Hollywood, here we go, Hollywood pass again. He wants to be in the movies. The Hollywood pass and give the ball away, 40-yard pass. Everyone goes, wow, what a great effort. No, it was awful. He gave it away. He had a 3-yard pass there, and then we could have attacked down the other side just by playing a 3-yard pass. And this kid here who's playing the 3-yard pass, who isn't as technically gifted as the kid who can do the Hollywood pass once every 10 times. But this effective kid here plays 2 yards. He's a better player for me. He's effective and he's efficient. So again, that's part of the gig as well. So how quickly do they transition from, and then it becomes the mental thing. How quickly do they transition from we've lost it to now we've got to win it back? That's the hard one. We've won it, now we've got to keep it. That's the easy one because they're in possession. So I always feel, you know, you're looking at them as well. They've lost it. What are they going to do next to win it back? How quickly can, and that comes back to your point, Susan, on the Liverpool thing, the pressing thing, you know, as a team. So that's part of the equation as well, I think. So there's a ton of things in there, but I actually think you can look at a player, Damien, and I think you can look at a player and say he's great technically, but he doesn't decide quickly enough. He's not the best technically, but he sees the game really well. He understands the game. We need to work on his technique. Yeah. His body position, every time he receives it, he doesn't open his body up. We need to work on that part of his game, you know. The hard part is, I think, teaching the tactical mobility, the movement off the ball, the finding the space. I think that's a hard part because if they're well, I say technique's easier to teach. It's easier to teach than the thinking process, that's for sure. Although the thinking process, you'd all think it's easy because all I'm doing is that, and it's true. But as I say, when the pressure's on, I'm yapping on here. When the pressure's on, that's when you want the kids to be relaxed, and that's when you want them to be scanning the field, and that's when you want them to keep possession of the ball. That's it. It's that moment. So that's your transition moment. I'm going to put that in at the bottom now, and I'll add another one. Transition moment at the bottom.
Yeah, man.
Because we're working a lot on the transition moment because we give it away too much. Sorry, I got carried away there.
I liked when you talk about the player being effective. I think that's something that, we sometimes get lost up in with people that do simple stuff, and people are like, man, that's nothing there. And I'm like, they're probably the most effective player on the field, and they're doing great stuff. It's just not, as flashy and not as noticeable sometimes. So
exactly. I mean, Xavi, what does he do? What did he do? He It was all simple. It was so vital. He held it all together, didn't he? And you know, we need to identify more players like that, I think.
So there may be some activities that you would do.
Right.
Do we want to do this one?
Yeah, we can use that. Well, I nicked this one off Dick Bate. You remember Dick Bate, Rossi?
Sure.
I mean,
Absolutely.
you all know Dick. I mean, God love him.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah.
That's on my A license in 1996. So we've been friends ever since.
Oh,
And
really?
he's been my mentor all my coaching life. If I need to know someone, I'll contact Dick, you know. And he's forgotten more than I've ever known. I think he's the best youth coach I've ever seen. And sadly, he died a few years ago. And I used to meet him at conventions and that, and he'd be presenting, I'd be presenting, and we'd watch each other. It was really nice. So this came from, a lot of my stuff came from Dick, to be honest. But I've kind of changed it to suit the American way of doing things, you know. You know what I mean? It's different, the way we teach and all that, and the kids. So you've lost the diagram now. Can you just move it? Okay. So this one, Dick used to talk about the new way of finding space. This is years ago. It's not going forward, but it's dropping off to find space, not moving forward to find space. So, and a big one would be your zone 14, where you know you want players to drop off in there. Then they all call it the false nine and all that stuff, you know. But it's dropping off into so that middle one is zone 14, but it could be a different zone, but it's zone 14 for this particular. So you're looking at, and Paul Scholes was the best at it, dropping off in midfield, not in zone 14, but in the middle at Man United, didn't he? You know, Ross, he would. If you watch Paul Scholes when he played, he always used to drop off to find space. Off to find space. So that's what this is. But the beauty of this one is it ties in with the one-touch mentality, because on this one, the Reds have got it, they're passing. The Yellows have got it, they're passing. They're not playing against each other yet. And as you know, there's a lot of progressions after this. But we're looking at, let's say, I can't do it with my my mouse, can I? So there's a red player in the middle there who's free. So he's going to drop off into the middle, right? So the guy on the ball, he's going to find him. He's going to see that immediately. He's not going to pass to his own player in his own zone. So in other words, as the ball's coming to the player in his own zone, he's looking away from the ball to see who's dropping off. You understand? So that's scanning, isn't it? So this game is good for scanning as well, because, you know, and then you'll see kids coming in, and then they're still playing with the ball in their own zone because they didn't scan, they didn't look away from the ball. So then the kid who went in the middle drops back into his own zone in the other side, and so on and so on and so on. So this is just a really nice little game that I learned from Dick, that I kind of changed it I'd made it suitable for what I'm working with, and I think it's a great little session. I don't think you can do it too long. It can get a bit boring, but but when you bring the goals in eventually, then obviously they love that. But yeah, it's just scanning again, looking away from the ball. Then you make it competitive, and then there's a ball in one area, and then there's a ball in another area, and then you're trying to make sure that if the ball gets transferred, the other ball gets transferred. So there's always a ball in each area, and then it's all about the timing and different players coming off the ball, etc. And that's how it works. And I really like this session. I really do, because you can see the kids who've got it mentally as well. Was that clear? Not very. Was it all right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine. So I mean, so the red team now, they're on the ball.
Yep.
You know, if this player here then checks into the space, this player can play into him. What happens then ideally after that? Is the ball just played back in?
No, he takes it back into his own area.
Okay, so in
the meantime, as that ball's been brought into his own area, you're hoping a yellow player will drop off to get the ball from him to take it back into his own area. So now you've got a balance of the balls in each area. But I usually start with 4 now. 4 balls going at the same time with no pressure.
So each team has 2 then?
Yeah, each team's got 2. So it's harder. But it's also, as I say, it forces them to look away from the ball. Because if you don't look away from the ball, you're never going to get the ball in the middle, are you? And you're never going to change the direction of play. So it's almost like, you know, you got your red player on the ball, you got your red player dropping off let's say it's the striker, he's dropping off into zone 14, into a number 10 position, you could say, and now he's turning and going forward and attacking, but he's actually taking it back into his own area, and so, and then he just continue the session. Yeah.
Cool.
And but I mean, well, you can fire away on the progressions if you like. We can talk about a couple of progressions if you like.
Yeah. So what would you do next? Is it the next slide, or do you have something you would just do from here?
On this one, well, what happens is, so you've got the red player on the ball, and you've got the closest red player, and he drops into the zone 14 in a straight line. So immediately his body's closed, so he doesn't know what's behind him. He could go in and get side on. That would work. That would be great, and that's a big part of it. So, but what I do to try and emphasize that is I put a line back through the middle in zone 14, and now they've got to pass from left to right or right to left. So now when the player comes off at an angle, he's got his angle, he's got his body position. He can see what's behind him. He can with his teammates and with the opponents. So I do that. I'll develop that now, so it's not in a straight line, because too often they'll come and meet the ball in a straight line, and then they can't see anything. They're just looking at the ball. That comes back to the 3-team game, and the no-touch turn, etc. Yeah.
Yeah.
When you're in, you've got a game going like this. At one point there you said, teaching the thinking process is the easy part. I don't know if I maybe even agree with that. I think we can get kids to check their shoulders and look around, but how do you make sure that they're not just check? I just think about some sessions I've had in the past where you're asking them to check their shoulders, but they're literally just going like that. They're not actually they're looking over their shoulders and told to do it. How do you actually make sure that when they're doing that, they're actually perceiving the picture and they're taking in the information of the space and the teammate and the ball and the opponent? Like, how do you really make sure that they're recognizing what they're seeing and not just literally turning their head?
Literally rubbernecking. Yeah, that's a good question. And a lot of the time, you're right. It's not helping them because they are just doing it for the sake of. But I just think setting conditions force them to do certain things. So, for example, let's say the ball's going to the guy in the middle at the far end, yeah? And the red guy in the middle here, he's coming off at an angle. Well, if he hasn't done the rubberneck, he won't see. So that the guy coming off is almost forcing him to make a decision of passing the ball into the middle. Now, if nobody comes off, then you don't pass the ball in there. Now, your argument would be exactly right there. If nobody's in, but they don't pass the ball, you could argue they did scan, but maybe they didn't. You know what I mean? It's a tough one, but I just think when you condition it this way and you have a target that clearly drops in, then that's the cue, that's the key, that's the signal, and they can't make that pass unless they've scanned. Right. Particularly if you go to one touch or two touch. I do a lot of this with two touch, to be fair. I'll say play two touch, but if you can play one touch, do one touch, but you've got two touches. That works maybe a bit more effectively, because people can argue, yeah, but when the ball comes to me, there's not always a one touch pass on. That's true. So when we're playing one touch, it can be a bit false, because really what I'm trying to create is just the head movement by playing one touch, not playing one touch. But the condition of one touch forces the head movement. That's all. Right. You see what I mean? So it's just subjective. It's just subjective,
Oh yeah,
it's not all perfect by any means. Yeah.
No, but I think it's a great discussion point, and I think what you're showing here is that you can actually set your environment, whether through the way the game's designed or whether through a condition within the game to actually bring out those habits.
Yeah.
And if they don't get caught out.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's all. Again, that's a sign, isn't it? That they didn't make the right pass at the right time. That's a sign that they didn't look. Or when it becomes competitive, they lose possession. In one of the areas they lose possession. That's another sign that they didn't look. So yeah, I like this one. And then we just have one ball in, and then it's a competition. We keep trying to keep possession. We're trying to switch the play, and then you'll one of the strikers will drop off, or it could be a number 6 dropping off, couldn't it, from a back player?
Right.
Could be, which is a big one. Number 6, number 8, they could be dropping off and receiving from the back in the center of the field. It could be that. Where was I going with that? Oh hell, my mind's gone. Yeah, so my mind's gone there. Oh yeah. So when they're dropping off, you'll put a defender to go in or not. So then if the defender comes in with them, you'll say to the guy on the ball, that's your cue not to pass it. But if he's free, pass it. So that changes as well, you see. Now, I know you can pass. If a defender comes in, you can still keep the ball, but that's just another cue for me to see if the kid recognised when to pass or when not to pass. And there's also, you've seen all the progressions, Damien, on that one. There's a lot of progressions.
Yeah, there's a ton of them.
So Wayne, I just want to ask real quick, because we've mentioned zone 14 a few times. I mean, you know, kind of by proxy, if we're in that zone, there's going to be more defenders in there. So therefore, the one touch, we have to be really, really careful with that one touch. That one touch mentality really might be two touch.
Yes,
because
absolutely.
we've constricted the space so much in there. So at times, I think, you know, we force that a little bit in that final third. I think that particularly with youth players in the United States, we're too comfortable giving the ball away in the final third sometimes, instead of doing what it takes to really keep the ball in that zone. Yeah.
Well, you could, you know, that's a good argument for when I say it can become, if you do it too much, it can become not real anymore, because sometimes you don't play one touch, do you? So when I'm playing that condition, I'm doing it. I do it often, and I'm observing the looks. That's all. But yes, it can become a false condition, because sometimes you need, you know, that's when the decision comes. You need to dribble. You need to play two touch. But based on what you just said there, I like that, because you've made me think of something else now. So what I try and do is, and you know, it's fashionable now. Inverted fullbacks, inverted wingers. I call them wingbacks. Because wingbacks suggest I'm an attacking fullback, so I try and overload in zone 14 by bringing in extra players, so we're not overloaded in there. So I'll try and get, for example, they've got a back four, right? And they've got your right winger, your left winger, or you got your right fullback, or your left wing back, or your right wing back, and I'm asking them to come in to form kind of you could call it a diamond. So you got your striker, you got your number 10 in behind, and now you've got your 3 and your 2 who are in attacking mid. I call them well, they all call them half zones, don't they? You know, you know. So I ask them to come inside, and I ask them to overload the centre backs. So you got your striker between the centre backs, you got your number 10 in behind, and then will they drop a number 6 in to mark him or not? Don't know, maybe. Will they push a centre back out to mark him? Maybe, don't know. But now you've got you've got your 2 wing backs tucked in, and you've almost got a 4v2 centrally. Now, yes, the opponent's midfield will drop back in to help, but if we can do that quick enough before they can react, we have an overload in zone 14. They don't, because because the defending fullbacks have started wide because they're kind of marking. Yes, they should be tucked in more. But you know, but so I look at that space now between, you got your fullback, defending fullback, your defending centre back, and let's say you've got your left mid. Okay, so there's that triangle, and I ask my players to go into that triangle in between those 3 players. That's your space, because now they're thinking, well, is the fullback going to track him in? Is the centre back going to come out and mark him? Is the midfielder going to drop back in and mark him, or her? But I've got a boys' team, so I keep saying him. So I look at that, and I'll say, right, your positioning now should be between the fullback, the centre back, and the midfielder, in front of the fullback and the centre back, and behind the midfielder. So it's like, I call it inside left and inside right. The old inside left and inside right back in the day. When I was playing, I was an inside left, you know. But those are really great positions, and I think a lot of managers try and get the players in those positions now. I know, well, Klopp and Guardiola, they do that, don't they? They do it a lot. They get their guys in those little areas where, who's going to pick him up? Not sure. I know I've gone off the topic of one-touch mentality, but I've come on to the topic of, when you said about overloading, I think we can overload in there, and then we can play quickly. And then you go back and you go, right, now how can we practice that? Getting a rondo, practicing a rondo, because it's similar, isn't it? It's a diamond or it's a square, but generally, you know, it's a diamond, and you're playing quickly, and you're playing one touch, and it's in that little area. So now you say, all right, we'll place our rondo in that zone 14 area, and make it specific to the game, and then you'll put some defenders in, and I do that, and I build it up, but I start with a little rondo in the middle, and then add players and add players and add players, and that's how I do it. So you're right. They could get an overload in there if you're playing centrally. So yes, you wouldn't always play one touch there, but you do want to play it quickly. But the way I'm presenting it is I'm already overloading in there because I want to beat them to it. And then what happens is, and this is my team the other week, God love them. They're such good lads. They're a good team, actually. They're a very good team. And so the opposition did exactly what you said. And they dropped off, and we couldn't get through to them. So I must have shouted wide 165 times because I want us to attack through the middle, but we couldn't. So, you know, like we all do, we've got to have somebody wide in. So we needed to attack in wide areas. And now I'm working on wide areas because teams are doing what you said, you know, and they worked out what we were doing, to be fair to them. And so we needed to go wide. So I know I'm going off on a different topic now, but that's part of the game, isn't it? Part of teaching the game. So these boys now, we've got a friendly tonight. I can't wait. We've got a great friendly tonight. It's a good, and I want to see all these things happening. You know, I'm excited to see them play. But anyway, so this one.
Okay.
So this one is.
Yeah, tell me what's going on here.
All right. So well, the numbers don't represent obviously on the field, but one's got the ball, 6 drops in, but 4 drops in, and they're at angles to each other. So on that one, I'll use the 10 and the 8 maybe. So 10 will, if 10 drops off, 8 will push on. So in other words, there's 4 squares and they're never in the same square, and I want them to be at angles to each other. So in other words, I don't want 4 and 6 in the same 2 zones next to each other. They always want to be at angles. So if 6 goes short, 4 comes long. So they're always moving the positions, you know. So I'm always looking at side on support and angles of support. That's all it is, that one. But we get 2 going in instead of 1. That's all it is. And then we start again. So yeah, because I feel that sometimes we get too flat alongside each other, or you go back to the straight pass, which we don't want. We don't want one passing into 4. Now you could say, well, yeah, of course one can pass into 4, and yes, of course one can pass into 4, but you know, I like to change the direction of play as we're playing, so that, you know, going across the 6 might be more effective than going into 4, who now has to receive and turn and run forward. You see what I'm saying? And now as it goes into 6 is facing back. Now 4's facing forward, not back. So he's now going to be the attacking player, and he plays into 5, who will be your striker, etc. So that's all that is. It's angles, distances of support, and side on position and body position. That's all that is. Yeah.
I love it. Because that's, I mean, obviously all ties into being able to play, you know, quicker. I mean, you've spoken a lot about, you know, body shape and positioning when we first started. And so I think
well, they save so much time as well thinking, don't they? They save so much time and space by doing this, by seeing it quickly, and by positioning off each other.
In this activity, you still have 2 balls going, so the yellow team is going to be in these zones as well, which creates a little bit of passive pressure.
Yes. Well, it's passive. Well, I always say you're getting in the road. That's my expression. The other team are just getting in the road, getting in the way. They're not playing against you. So you're going to now work your positioning, not just based on the ball and who's passing it and where you're going, but also the opponents who are getting in the way, getting in the road.
Yeah, you can easily add a defender through the midfield, make it a 2v1.
Well, that would be another progression. Absolutely, yeah.
So let's see, because I think there's the next one. I wonder if that was the one I was thinking of.
That's like the first one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just did the same.
well, Damien, the diagram up.
Yeah.
You know, when your teams are playing in these exercises, you know, do you tend to freeze the play and step in and show them pictures, or do you tend to just let it flow and let the game kind of be the teacher? How do you sort of insert yourself as a coach? Does that make sense?
Well, nowadays it sounds like you just want to let them play and work it out, don't they?
Well,
Is that the trend now? I don't know.
It's
it's more free, less coach. But I still step in. I still step in because how are they going to know if they've done it right or wrong?
Right.
Unless you point it out to them, and then all you do is you wait for the next time they do it to see if they've learned from that.
Right.
But I always really emphasize when they've done it right. I mean, I lose my voice after training. I know people say, "Oh, be quiet," but I lose my voice after training because I'm always, when everything's done right, I'm always reminding them that was the right thing to do, so it'll stick in their mind. But then if they do it wrong, then that's your time to step in. You don't step in when they've done it right, but if they've done it wrong and it's consistently wrong, then of course you've got to get in and help them, haven't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think a bit of both, personally. I know what is it they call it? Free play. They let them play, and you don't get involved. Well,
yeah,
no. I mean, what are we there for? We've got to help them.
Right.
I think.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I was just interested to see how you tend to approach that. Which, but yeah, at some point, if they're doing the same wrong thing over and over and over again, and it's not getting better, then you've got to find a way to insert yourself and help guide them to a better solution. So
yeah,
no, that makes a lot of sense to me. And
I try and get in and out quick.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to do it the politically correct way, you go in and you ask them to show you where they should have gone and do all that stuff. And if you can do that quickly, that's great. But when you tell them, I guess, unless you show them, you could be telling them they're not even listening, or they don't understand.
It just depends on the age of
the daddy discovery thing. I mean, everybody uses that, and it's effective, of course. You want them to, but you don't want to take too long because you'd be stepping in all the time, and the game wouldn't flow, the training wouldn't be flowing, they'd be bored stiff, and so you got to get a balance.
All about balance.
So I think this is the other one that we were talking about doing, the 3-zone game with different touch directives and themes.
Yeah.
So how does this build off?
This proves I'm not a one-touch merchant. Seriously.
There it is in little tiny letters. See it, everybody?
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't want them to dribble at the back. I don't want them to overplay. So I give them 3 touches. I think that's enough. I'd like them to play a little bit quicker, if possible. Now, in midfield, it's so congested that I do think they have to play quickly in midfield, or at least think quickly in midfield to be able to see the options. So I give them 2 touches, and then unlimited in the attacking third, because I want them to take people on. I want them to do what they're good at. I want them to beat people 1v1s. So I think it balances all out in the areas how you want them to play, and doesn't mean you can't dribble in midfield. But if you're dribbling in the defensive part of the midfield, in the middle zone, and losing it, you don't want that to happen. So I encourage them to pass. But when you get in the attacking third, it's a free for all. Get at them, Get at them. Show how good you are, and it can be any player. And another thing I like to do, and could be another topic another time. I call it freedom football. And again, I'm not reinventing the wheel, for God's sake. Bloody Holland did it in the 1970s, But I tend to see a lot of coaches, the kids teach the kids positions, and they kind of stay in their positions. So a fullback, a right back is up and down the line. Rarely goes. And now, of course, we're developing the moving inside, etc. With the inverted runs and all that. But I encourage my centre backs to come out to join midfield. For midfielders to drop in, I encourage my midfielders, my 7 to go to 9, my 10 to go to 11, my 3 to go to inside left, my 2 to go to inside right, my 6 to drop in, and maybe my 4 brings the ball out. I mean, it's not new. It's not new, but I don't think a lot of coaches, dare I say, are brave enough. I don't know. That would be cheeky. I think a lot of them, they want to stick to their framework, right? Which is correct. And I stick to a framework, but within that framework, I'd let the players go wherever they want.
Can you come back?
You know, as long as we stick to the framework. So within it, so players can be anywhere. And that's what I really like teaching. And it's sometimes it catches you out, you know, because you get caught on the counter. But the kids love it, man, because they just love the freedom. And that's why I call it stupid, corny name, freedom football. FF, freedom football. Could mean something else. FF, freedom football. And I like that part of it as well. And so that's within the team concept. So you can do that within this as well. And as you know, I mean, there's a lot of progressions that go into this one as well. Yeah. I love it. So can I tell you this one? So once I was doing when I first came to America 20 years ago, I was doing this session, right? And we were working on overlaps. So you could call it freedom football in a way, overlaps, movement, you know, interchanging positions. So we got the coaches game going, and they only ever come to the clinics because I'd have a coaches game afterwards. You see, that's the way I got them to the clinics to watch for the education. Suddenly, I mean, some of them were goodwill dads, you know, and they became good coaches, good guys. Suddenly, the goalie does an overlap. I'm going, what are you doing, Jeff? Well, the section's overlapping. Jeff, goalies don't overlap, mate. It was hilarious. Well, everyone cracked up. He actually thought he could overlap from goalie. So you get those kind of situations. I mean, I know it's not funny, but it was funny at the time when we saw it, and we called him, you know, the overlapping king from goalkeeper. But that was a guy who was just learning the game, you know. And to be fair to him, he went on to become a really good coach. But that was hilarious, you know.
Well,
so
I
don't take
think
it
doesn't Pep
literally. Bloody hell, that was funny.
Doesn't Guardiola say that the next progression in modern soccer is going to be more of the goalkeeper in their as a field player?
There you go. You see, Jeff invented it 20 years ago.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So he was 20 years ahead of his time.
Yeah.
So I was wrong and he was right.
Yeah. Chris Wilder's got his Sheffield United centre backs overlapping, so it's just one more back and Jeff will be a pioneer.
It's just a matter of time.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, Sheffield United with their overlapping fullbacks or wing back, centre backs, but it's not working at the moment, is it?
Yeah. No, it's not working right now. No.
Well, second season's always the hardest, isn't it? With those kind of teams. Yeah. I'm a bugger for going off tangent. I'm sorry.
Wow, you're fine.
Just, you know, we're all excited, aren't we? We're excited about the game. We love talking about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, it's great, man. And we're all learning off each other. It's great.
When you do something like this, Wayne, I mean, just for this activity, just to start off, are we fixed in these zones? I mean,
initially, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, initially, I just want them to stay in the zones initially to do this is my position kind of thing, because then when I allow them to transition as it develops, it stands out more. I think that we're changing positions. And so initially, I've got the mindset. I'm a number 3. I'm a fullback. This is my position.
Right.
I'm a number 2. I'm a centre back. I'm going up to the edge there, and then that's it. I don't do that for very long, but I just want them to establish their own areas, 3 different areas. You can have 4 zones, but 3 areas.
At some point in time during the progressions, though, you would allow people to the freedom to go within zones. I mean, you're talking about.
Oh, no, I mean, I'm not doing that for very long. That's just to establish the framework. Okay. Then it's like 3. Anyone can go in, but then, for example, I'll say, well, if 3 goes in, 11's got to drop back, or you know, if 2 goes in, 6 drops back. So that we've always got a balance. That's all. I'll just insist on that. Yeah. So yeah, no, I mean, 90% of that session is interchanging positions. It's not like you stick to your stem zone.
Right. And then obviously, just to show the people, we've got, you know, as far as progressions, there's 20 different progressions that you have listed.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's ridiculous. I was trying to be clever. I was just trying to be clever.
How does this one differ other than obviously you're having two goalkeepers, 2 goals, as opposed to 2 counter goals.
Yep. Yeah. Well, then you just make it like a game situation, don't you? So that's all it is. That's just a natural progression, isn't it? It's like from a phase of play to a game. That's all it is.
I mean, I think if you know, we've probably done some variation of this before, and Wayne, I just wanted to get thoughts. Some of the challenges that the players face in this is obviously, you know, it's a pretty restrictive area through the midfield. So we don't have neutrals in there. So I did want to ask you about your use of neutrals because everybody's a little bit different. And then the other thing I wanted to ask you about is that would you set any conditions when they go to find their 9? Well, the players know that there's only one player in there and they're going to often step on that. So would you manipulate any of the conditions so that we can actually play that penetrating pass into the final third?
You mean like 9's got 3 players against him?
Correct. So they're often going to intercept that pass. I mean, I know that 9 is working hard, but any thoughts on that? If you would you say allow that first ball and then you can defend after or anything like that? Or do you try not to manipulate too much of that?
Well, what I would do is, as the ball's gone into 9, I'll be asking them to make third man runs beyond 9 and also to support behind 9. I mean, I've got a third man run diagram in here, I think, but the ball's going into 9, so we're saying, right, can we support behind and can we support beyond? So now your 11 comes in and your 7 comes in and they maybe get, you know, they're making those runs beyond 9, and as 9 plays it back to 10 or maybe 6, then 6 is playing the ball in. So that, in other words, 7 and 11 are making third man runs from deep, and often they're hard to pick up. So that's the way I would do that. And then what was the other one? Oh, neutrals. Yeah, I mean, it depends on the quality of the players. If they're not that good, then you need to put neutrals in, to certainly in the middle, to help them keep possession. You know, and then so yeah, you could start with neutrals, make it easy so you're successful because you got more players, and then you take them out and then you test them to see what the like equal numbers with pressure. Yeah, so I use neutrals a lot, to be honest. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I think it's
Wayne, you got your grids at each one's 20 and then they're 40 wide, so 20 by 40. Is it so contextually, like what age group is this designed for then in your mind based on that grid size?
11 to 14.
Okay, so then what would you do for older groups with your numbers? Would you keep it at this 9v8?
Well, it depends. It depends on their ability, and it depends on if you keep it small, you're trying to teach them how to play in tight areas, aren't you? So it's more difficult. If you make it big, then it should be easier, and it's more game-like because you want them to get big, don't you? Big as a team. I call it big, getting big, as opposed to condensing. So it depends. Sometimes you'll do it on a smaller field than that because you want to put them under pressure and see how they deal with when it's tight. So you know, it can depend on what you're trying to get out of the game, really. And obviously, it's easier if it's bigger. But then it could become too easy. I don't know.
Right, too easy. And then for you, like if this was going to be your training session for the day, are you kind of in here from the start? What would you do for a warm up? Are you just going to be in 4 different or 3 different variations of this game from start to finish?
Yeah, I'm bad for that. I'm starting to do warm ups. I'm a terrible warm up fella. I really am. I'm the worst in the world. I like to get into it, you know, but I know we warm them up. We get them. Yeah, definitely do a warm up. Yeah, sure. But my warm up is like it's usually ball focused. I do
right.
The 3
yeah, and I'm not talking about something off the
ball. Not stretch, you know, they stretch and all that, but it's ball focused. The warm up, just to get them into the mind of playing the game.
Yeah,
and then I'll go into the game. I tend to, yeah. I get into the groove of this, and I will maybe get 3 or 4 different things in. But I mean, I know the kids. This is a scrimmage, for God's sake. Kids love to scrimmage, don't they? So this one's a winner because you're having a game and they love it. But you're still getting you're still adding your value within the game with different concept and different conditions for the players. And then obviously at the end, you just let them go free and let them run wild, and you know they go home happy. That's the secret, isn't it? You've got to go home. They've got to be happy, for God's sake. They've got to love playing. So you don't want to be boring them stiff.
You could take
that's our job.
You could very well first activity that we saw, that 3-zone with the 3 players and 3 players or 4 players. You can do whatever you want for numbers, where they're checking into the zone 14. That could be
absolutely.
And then you could just progress on the same field. And I think as far as just real life economics on moving cones and field space, I mean, this could be something that you could be in an area that's not particularly big. And I think within, again, real world situations, we're kind of always fighting for field space.
Yeah, that's true.
I can get into a 40 by 20, yard area and run a training session.
Yeah,
that's effective and allow me to bring out some good coaching points. That's gold, really. And as you said, then we could easily then transition into basically a very condensed, full-sided type game, and let the kids play.
Yeah, and this isn't clever. I mean, we all do this stuff. It's not clever, but I just like setting conditions, just to test them in their areas, setting conditions. It's not clever. We all do it. I maybe do it too much. I don't know, but I like. Again, I just want the freedom. I just want them to have freedom to play. So the starting is the complete opposite, isn't it? You're in your own zones, just so you can emphasize the difference. It's a big difference. I want 3 to end up shooting on goal. I don't mind 4 coming out as long as some. That's how I want the kids to learn. And I know from the teams I've worked with, they love it because they've got so much freedom to play. But again, there's the other side of it where you get caught out on the counter. But then obviously we will work on that as well. But I mean, you're always leaving yourself a little bit vulnerable by playing that way, because you're relying on the kids to see it, and sometimes they don't. But I would say, look, I'm offering the freedom. If we concede from it, it's my fault, because it's my idea. It's not your idea. I'm offering you this freedom, so it's my responsibility if they score against us. And then they like that, because I mean, again, that relaxes them a bit and gets them to move around, etc.
Well, and it's very real to the environment, because I think a lot of teams that play possession-based game, how do they get scored upon? Off the counter, right? Because they were lulled into this possession, mode. And the other thing that's so good about this is that with your goalkeepers is that they're looking for the ability to counter, so that if the 7-11, if they do drop in, well, now we actually have numbers through the midfield. How quickly can you find those players through the midfield? Maybe we skip the build. So I think for goalies, looking for those moments can be great.
Absolutely, and I think we all want to build from the back. It's the trend, but I mean, you've got to be realistic. Sometimes you can't. So get it further forward earlier. But then obviously organise yourselves to try and win the second ball. If you don't win the first ball, organise yourselves to win the second ball. But yeah, we all want to build out the back, and I'm big on that as well, like everyone. But sometimes they force it too much and they lose to. It's like that's not the game. The game, it's pretty and it's wonderful, and we lost 5-0, and 4 of the goals came from losing the ball in the defending third. What good's that to anybody?
Yeah. Well, I think
that could be a whole other webinar, that one, Damien. I think the idea of the playing out the back at all costs type situation is it's almost become trendy to the point where and it kind of ties into Wayne's message today about scanning and perceiving. Well, where is the space? Where is where are the teammates? Does it make sense to try and play through this 4 versus 6 or 7 when you're going to most likely lose the ball? So it's just it ties into Wayne's message of what's the game telling you to do. What's the most efficient, effective decision right now? So it's interesting.
Yeah, well, I'll try and build it up. I'll try and go through the centre back, and then I'll try and go through the wing back, and it could be wide, or it could come inside into the space inside, and then I'll try and go through the wingers. Well, no, before the wingers, I'll go through like the 8 and the 6 and the 8. I'll try and do that as well. So I'll do it like it's kind of orchestrated, but here's your choices, goalie. You know, try your centre backs first because they've got wide. Try your number 6. 6 and 8 might rotate. Try that. Now try your wing backs. Are you going to try them wide? What if they come inside? Now there might be a passing lane there. And then your wingers might drop inside. There might be a passing lane there until you eventually go, well, we're going to go long now because we can't get out through the centre backs or the wing backs or the centre mids because they've pressed like Liverpool do. Well, we'll go into 9 now. We'll go direct now.
Yeah.
And I don't think and then obviously we condense around the ball and we try and win the second ball. I mean, that's the last resort for me, but it's still effective. And if that's what you got to do, that's what you got to do.
Yeah.
You know.
Wayne, do you guys have a Tonka under 39s team? I want you to coach.
Well, I'm on the over 60s team.
Do you?
Yeah. I'm on the over 60s, yeah. But no, we haven't got that one. Sorry, no. I formed one for the old guys. You like the 2 young.
That's good stuff. Well, hey, Sue, Ross, do you guys have any takeaways, big takeaways that we could just add to the conversation real quick before we wrap it up?
No, I can't wait to hear how the friendly goes tonight.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a kiss of death, isn't it? Kiss of death now. Oh my! I should have kept my mouth shut. Yeah, I'll blame you, Susan, if we lose. Is that all right? Because I can't blame me, can I? For God's sake, you know.
No, never.
No, it's not my fault. No, I'm excited. No, you've got me all fired up for tonight. This is great. I mean, I've really enjoyed it. Thanks for inviting me. I've really enjoyed it. It's great.
No, it's
to
good.
Discuss the game and
we probably could another 45 minutes and have part 2 here, but we'll have to have you back on for sure. But I do think then once we started to break it down and able to, and I'll meet with you offline here in the coming days about getting maybe this put into a session format so we can give to the people after they watch.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I think it's been great. I love your one-touch mentality. I've given you a bunch of crap just to play devil's advocate about it, but in truth, I do really believe in what you're doing. But it was just fun to mess with you a little bit sometimes. So yeah,
I would say to you as well. I think the fact that a message you've been pushing and content you've been pushing out there for the last 20 years, the fact that it's just becoming prominent now and maybe trendy, if you will, now, I think that says so much about you and your work in terms of being a pioneer and sticking with your values. And
thank you.
I really do. I think it says a lot about the way you went about your business. The fact that things that you were talking about 20 years ago are now the end thing. So that's amazing. And I really enjoyed the conversation. I could talk here with you guys all day.
I don't want to go. I'm having a great time. No, but I mean, yeah, you're right, and it came from because I couldn't do it very well. That's where it all came from, the idea. Yeah. So, and I thought, well, it's too late for me. At least I can teach it. And no, I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled. It's like a fashion now. I'm thrilled because more and more people are picking up on it. But Jesus, it's been a fight, man. It's been a fight to get it out there. And I've sent it to organizations that we shall be nameless, and I've never got a reply. Never had what about this idea? No, not even a reply. You make your mind up where they are, but
I really
I wanted to see what they thought, but anyway, it's all good.
Well, Wayne, I think the plan for us in the land of the Iowa ODP scene is to be heading up to USA Cup.
Right. Well, we'll meet up there.
So let's stay connected. Let's do some stuff here and collaborate on some stuff. But
and we'll have to do the après ski, won't we?
Blaine, Minnesota is a good night out. So let's make some.
I'm just saying après ski. We'll do the après ski.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Minneapolis is a great city, man. It's brilliant.
Yeah, we'll go. We'll do some.
So we'll be all serious with the game, and then we'll have our good time after.
That's what it's all about, really.
Yeah, it'll be brilliant. It'll be brilliant.
I'll be very
good.
Good. I'm going to stop presenting, and then we will. We'll look to wrap up here. My screen is off, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, this is great. I think this will be it. I think it's been a good effort from us here today, I think that people are going to have a lot to take away. So at this stage of the game, I would say from all of us at the Cornfed Coaching FC family, I will thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next time. Stay safe and be happy.